Good evening, this is Keith All and welcome back. Today's tutorial we're going to be learning on how you could create amazing websites using overlapping text or overlapping elements or images. Today we're going to be using a WordPress platform which is connected with my Builderall account. If you want to learn more about Builderall, there will be a link in the description, and also to if you need the Elementor page builder with WordPress, there's also a link in the description to upgrade to the Pro account or keep it as a free account. Anyways, this is what we'll be learning today. We're going to be learning how you can overlap this text like you see here, and also we're going to be learning about some CSS effects that we could add to our website. Again, it's using overlapping text or overlapping widgets or elements. And this is just something that you could create. You could create a section within your website that in this case introduces yourself, and you could have this button overlapping the image element, this text overlapping the image element, and also you could skew a portion of your text. In other words, it could be slanted like this. So let's go up to the top and let's learn how we overlap this particular text up here to get that effect. I just created a new section by clicking on this and add a new section, and of course in this particular I added a 2-column section. So we're not going to do that here, but let's go over here. This is an image widget over here on the right, and over here I have two elements or widgets. One's again, let's edit this. It's a heading. And this one down here is the same thing, it's a heading. Now, how did we get this overlapping effect? So basically what I did was on this second heading widget, to create this effect, I just justified the text on here, and I came over to the advanced tab here, and we're gonna unlink these margins. And what unlink means that we can individually adjust the top, right, bottom, or left margins. If I had it linked together, then as you adjust one, all of them would be the same number. So that's the difference between linked and unlinked for your margins. And what is margin anyways? Margin is the distance between two different widgets, in this case in WordPress. It may be referred to as elements or whatever. So it's the space between the two elements that what margin is. So what I did was I adjusted this bottom widget, heading widget, and I put a negative margin, so it would bring this bottom widget above or on top of this widget. So let's adjust this, let's decrease this and see what happens. So as I bring it more to the positive value, you're going to have this spacing between these two widgets. The more negative it is, it's going to bring it up, and you could get the effect that it appears above that one other widget. Now let's say if I wanted this widget or this heading, the top one, let's go edit it, and I want it to appear on top of this one. All you need to do is go over to the advanced and adjust the Z index. And see, as you increase it, it brings it on top of this one. So the Z index, as you have multiple elements or widgets on your page, and if they overlap one another, you could have it appear as like it's in a stacking order. And this one, because I have it as Z index 1, that means it's going to appear above this one because the Z index on this one is 0 at the moment. So that's a quick tip about the Z index. Now let's scroll down. Let's see how we can get this effect here. We're using the same thing. We're having two different heading widgets here, and we're using negative margin on the bottom one to let it appear on top of this one to overlap the top widget. But let's see how we can get this slanting effect. So what I'm using is, one, I'm using Elementor Pro in this case because this particular instance you would need Elementor Pro. And if you go over to the Advanced tab up here and go over to Custom CSS, you have the ability to add CSS code here. So in this case, what I'm doing is, what the selector means, term selector, is we're selecting a particular widget in this case. In this case, we're editing this widget, this heading, so it's selecting this particular one and not any other one on this page right here. But what I'm using is I'm using CSS code to give this a slant, basically. And all I'm doing is I'm using a transform function and in conjunction with the rotate function. And what the rotate is, it's going to rotate this particular element or widget in whatever degree that you want. So if I put this as a +5, it slants it down towards the right. If I use a negative, it slants it down towards the left, and you could increase it. And you could rotate it any which way that you want. I could even have it almost like that. Or let's see, let's go up to 100. See what it does. So you could use this to create certain effects on your website. Let's bring it back down to 5. And we're doing the same thing over here, but we're using a different CSS code. So let's go over here. Let's edit this. Let's go over to Advanced. This. And what we're doing in this case, again, we're transforming this element, and we're using a skew Y function by 20 degrees. What does skew Y mean? Well, here, let's bring this back down to 0. 0 is it creates a horizontal effect. And what I'm doing is I'm skewing the y-axis. In this case, let's go 20. So that's another way to get like a different effect where you could skew it. This, on the other hand, let's do this. What I'm using here is, let's go over here. Again, the transform. I'm scaling the y-axis. What does that mean? The y-axis is I'm increasing the size of this element or widget vertically. So as you can see, if I go up to 3, it increases the height of it. And if I use the scale X, it's just going to create the same effect, but I'm going to stretch it horizontally. And let's go over here, 20. Oh, that's way too much. See how it stretches it horizontally? So you could play around with CSS code to get the effect that you want. Let's bring it back to Y. And just in case that you don't have Elementor Pro, you could create the same effect using something that's built into the Elementor free version. And that way is you won't need to upgrade to Elementor Pro. Let's go over here. Let's edit this. If we go over to the Advanced tab and click on right here where it says CSS classes, I created a class and just typed it in here. Now I'm going to show you in a second how to get to that, but you could create a class and name it whatever that you want. In this case, I called it transform text. So let's see how we created this. Let's go back. Okay, give it a second. Let's go up here, exit the dashboard. We're going to go back to the dashboard, and I'll show you in a second how we created our own CSS. You go under Appearance, Customize, and then where it says Additional CSS, and I created my own CSS code. I'm doing the same thing. I'm still using transform, rotate, and however effect that I want. The only difference right here is you're going to call this whatever that you want. This is the class. It's called transform text. But you also want to make sure that you put a dot or a period in front of the name of the class that you want to make it effective. Once you do that, once you create that, you click on Publish, and it becomes live. And that's how you do that. So hopefully this gave you an idea on how you could create different effects for your website using overlapping text and, in some cases, CSS code. Thank you for stopping by today. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I really appreciate it. That way YouTube will always notify you whenever I have a new video ready for you to view. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.